What's going on, Jerome's rolling through these 2-a-days position previews for the Minnesota Vikings as we're head off to undisclosed location. That's what we do. But a Vikings receiver room. So the Vikings have been known as the franchise for wide receivers, going back to Chris Carter, Anthony Carter, Randy Moss, Justin friggin' Jefferson. We got a regular Mount Rushmore for wide receivers. Adam Jerome, Ezekiel Thielen. Let's go. Let's go, man. Stephon Diggs, a value 5th-round pick before things got weird. Yeah. But the Vikings, to me, the Vikings have a top-heavy wide receiver room, as well as they have a lot of intriguing depth. So I'm pretty happy with where the wide receiver room is right now. Of course, led by Justin friggin' Jefferson. What more can you really say? 4-time All-Pro, 2022 Offensive Player of the Year, is only 26 years young. Extended here long-term with the Minnesota Vikings, wants to bring championships to the great state of Minnesota. 7,432 career receiving yards, the most all-time for a player heading into year 6. Wait, no, year 5, year 6. Whatever. Leader. He's about 1,100 yards ahead of Jerry Rice's pace after year 5. All right, so he's the alpha wide receiver 1+. Plus, he completely changes the gravity of the defense, right? Because you're not going to single him up. You're going to have safety help over the top. You're going to be doubling him. You're going to be bracketing him. You're going to be tripling him, right? And it really does change the dynamic of the defense, and it really opens things up for everyone else. I think Kevin O'Connell has done a good job of reacting to the reaction to Justin Jefferson, and I think that he'll continue to get better. Addison, for me, is rising up as a really one of the best wide receiver 2s in the game. Now, yes, with Jefferson commanding 2 or 3 dudes in coverage, that does make things pretty easy. But also, Addison stood out as a rookie in 2023 when Jefferson was missing time. Basically won that Monday night 49ers game single-handedly. 2 touchdowns, looking good. But Addison, he's undersized, but he's added strength every offseason when he's not doing stupid things. He's in that weight room putting on strength. He's very good in contested catch spots. He's gotten better at blocking downfield. He's only 23, and I think that if he stays on the field, he has a chance to be one of the better wide receiver 2s, right? If he stays with the Vikings. 63 catches, 875, 9 touchdowns last year in only 15 games. Missed the first couple because of a rolled ankle. Likely going to be missing the first 3 with a suspension as his DUI case gets adjudicated July 15th, but if he stays on the path, the sky's the limit for Addison. And I think that Jefferson and Addison, if they want to keep them together, if it's feasible to keep them together money-wise, which I don't know if it will be, but we'll see. But Addison would be wide receiver 1 for what? Half the league at least. And I think that eventually could come down to economics, where he wants a chance to be wide receiver 1. He wants to get a chance to get paid like a wide receiver 1, and the Vikings can't pay him like a wide receiver 1. Frankly, probably can't pay him like T. Higgins, a high-end wide receiver 2. But we'll see. Jalen Speedy Naylor, former 6th-round pick out of Michigan State. Keenan McCardle was standing on the table, pounding the table, breaking the table. Buffalo Bills Mafia breaking table stuff. Either way, he was all in on Jalen Speedy Naylor, and Naylor showed some nice flashes. Not only does he have that vertical long speed, but a lot more intermediate routes working on. Become a lot more polished route runner. Is 26, heading into a contract year, final year of his rookie deal. Last year, 28 catches, 414, and a career high 6 touchdowns. And yeah, he did have that bad drop in the Rams game. Sort of is what it is. And also, he should never be allowed to return a punt again. Yes, I still get PTS from that Packers game. But I think for me, Speedy is a really solid receiver 3. And I wouldn't mind if there was a world where if Addison leaves or is traded, they hang on to Naylor, they develop Ty Felton as the new wide receiver 2, and Speedy becomes just this generation's version of KJ Osborne, of Jarius Wright, just that really solid wide receiver 3 that you like having around. Right, I think that would be fine. Ty Felton, this year's 3rd-round pick out of Maryland, 23 years young, 96 catches, a buck, 1,124 yards, receiving 9 touchdowns his senior year in College Park. Receptions and yards, both college records for the Terrapins, as well as both led the Big Ten, first team all Big Ten, all that stuff. Got that long speed for sure, but also a big part of his game is taking those short intermediate passes, bubble screens, quick outs, quick slants, all that stuff, and just busting one. All right, so I think that he brings a really fun home run dynamic. Like every single time he touches the ball, he could bust it. So that's something that's going to be exciting for Vikings fans. Plus, I do think down the line he could develop into the wide receiver 2 or 3, depending on what happens with Addison and Naylor. Next is Rondale Moore. So I've loved Rondale Moore forever. The pride of Purdue. His 2018 true freshman season just sticks in the back of my mind. But injuries, ineffectiveness, Arizona has been basically his career so far. He's 25, coming off a torn ACL they suffered early on in training camp with the Atlanta Falcons, who he was traded to from the Cardinals. But career 135 catches, 1,201 yard receiving, 3 touchdowns, is a solid return man as well, but just hasn't panned out on that second round draft status that was bestowed upon him in 2021 by the Cardinals. But I think that Rondale's the ultimate free roll. Like, if it doesn't work out, like, no muss, no fuss. You're not out any guaranteed money. You're not even out a lot, right? But if he hits, if things click, and I think that he'll benefit from having basically zero expectations. But if he's healthy, I think that he could be the Vikings' best return man. And also, he would be a really fun change of pace, gadgety type offensive weapon just to throw into this mix. Do I think he'll ever be a definitive wide receiver 2 or 3? Probably not, but could he be a really fun return man and a gadget player that just adds another wrinkle and dynamic that defense coordinators have to worry about? Yes, I think he certainly could and should be that if he's healthy. Knocking on all the wood. So those are the first 5, and then everything else just sort of gets... You have question marks, but there's certain potential there. Lucky Jackson, 2020 UDFA out of Western Kentucky, was in the CFL in 2022, and then he was all XFL in 2023. DC Defenders, Vikings picked him up. He's on the practice squad, and Lucky is 27. So I think that it's now or never. Let's see. Deshaun Jones is an interesting name. So he's 25, and he is a 2024 UDFA out of Maryland. Yes, former teammates with Ty Felton. In fact, Ty Felton didn't really start getting that work until Deshaun Jones left. It's kind of funny. 56, 790, and 4. His final season for the Terrapins in 2023. And he was a player in training camp that made a couple nice plays. A couple nice touchdown grabs from J.J. McCarthy. A little bit of built-in chemistry there, so maybe it could be something. Thayer Thomas, also a 2023 UDFA, been bouncing around the Vikings practice squad for these last couple years. He's 27. He's second all-time on the NC State receptions and yards list behind Torrey Holt. Torrey Holt was a bad dude, man. But Thomas also is a very solid punt returner, also developing as a punt gunner as well. Could easily see him sticking around for another year on the practice squad. Next is Tim Jones. So free agent from Jacksonville. He's a 2021 UDFA out of Southern Miss, special teams ace, and I think that he probably will make the 53. Right now, if I had to guesstimate, I think they'll have 6 receivers on the 53, maybe 2 on the practice squad. Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Felton, Moore, as well as Tim Jones. I think that will be the 6. And then 2 on the practice squad, TBD. Right? Even though I made the bold prediction, Silas Bold to make the 53, I'm going to play it safe on this one. Right? But with Silas, but I think Tim Jones will certainly have a role. I think him and Tavier Thomas are going to be really good for the special teams. And then you got Silas Bolden, who's a lot of fun, man. Undersized, he's 5'8", $160. Electric return man, 4.38 speed. Was at Oregon State and then transferred to Texas last year. And he's a joystick player, man. Like, the suddenness, the quickness, everything is for real. And it wouldn't shock me if he makes a 53. Even though I just excluded him, it wouldn't shock me at all if he makes a 53. And then the other 3 UDFAs, Dante Fleming out of Tulane. Also, it's weird. Like, the Vikings have a type. Like, pretty much every one of these UDFAs is 6'1", $185, or somewhere in that neighborhood. But Dante Fleming, 31 catches, 598, and a touchdown last year for Tulane. Robert Lewis in the news, formerly at Georgia State, transferred to Auburn, has a career 118 catches, 1,478 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns for his 5-year career. That would be a record if it was 1 year. And then Miles Price. And, yeah, there's some questions about Miles Price because he is wearing, Kyrie Jackson's 31. Now, they did have it out of rotation last year, but it's back in this year. And, I don't know, 31's a weird wide receiver number. But hopefully he does it justice, and big time respect to Kyrie. Rest in power. But Miles Price was at Texas Tech, then transferred to Indiana, and he was part of the Hoosiers football renaissance in Bloomington. 38 catches, 466 and 3 last year from Curtis Rourke. Good times. Yeah. And, of course, wide receiver coach is Keenan McCardle. 5th season as a Vikings wide receiver coach. A hell of a player in his own right. Jacksonville is where he did the most damage. But 2-time Super Bowl champion. One with Washington in 1991. The other with the Buccaneers in 2002. As well as a 2-time Pro Bowler. Both with the Jaguars, I believe. But 5th season, like we said, as Vikings wide receiver coach. Now, he was the only position coach to survive regime change. Because he was hired in 2021 as a wide receiver coach for Mike Zimmer. And then Kevin O'Connell came in. Everyone got washed out except McCardle stayed. So that says a lot because Thielen, Osborne, Jefferson all went to bat for McCardle. He's got big-time respect from the receiver room, big-time respect from Kevin O'Connell and the coaches. So for my money, he's one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver coach in the National Football League. So not only does this group have talent, top to bottom, and plus something that I've loved is Jefferson. So he's not really like a rah-rah leader, but he is a work your ass off, first in the building, last to leave, grinding, getting better, set the tone type player. Because if you're anyone else in that receiver room or anyone else on the damn team, and you're like, hey, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the game. He's on pace to be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and he's putting in that work. If Jefferson does that, what the hell am I doing? You know, I better get my ass busting too. All right, so that's exactly the way that Jefferson leads, and it's great. But that's it. That's at Vikings wide receiver room preview. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol production value.